And we're back. 29 Walmart moms in a focus group run by Democrat and Republican strategery groups. And what they find out, Walmart moms are frustrated with the state of the country, but they're skeptical about Washington's ability to address the key issues that'll have a positive, tangible impact on their household. So I'm convinced that if more people equated Washington failure with liberalism, Washington failure with Democrats, then we would be much more ahead of the game. I gave you the example, this Lyndon Johnson biography. This author just over the top praising all of these failed ideas, praising them from the present back 50 years. Knowing full well how they failed, admitting in the foreword of the book they failed, and yet they're the best ideas anybody's ever had. You know what did him in was Vietnam. If Vietnam hadn't happened, let me read to you from the description of this book on Amazon. We see how within weeks, grasping the reins of the presidency with supreme mastery, LBJ propels through Congress essential legislation that at the time of Kennedy's death seemed hopelessly log-jammed and seizes on a dormant Kennedy program to create the revolutionary war on poverty. Caro makes clear how the political genius with which Johnson had ruled the Senate now enabled him to make the presidency wholly his own. This was without doubt Johnson's finest hour, before his aspirations and accomplishments were overshadowed and eroded by the trap of Vietnam. The trap of Vietnam. Kennedy and Johnson laid the trap. Hoy, as my friends say. But you get a flavor. That's just the description of the book on Amazon. Here's another one in its exploration of this pivotal period in Johnson's life and in the life of the nation. Passage of Power is not only the story of how he surmounted unprecedented obstacles in order to fulfill the highest purpose of the presidency, but is as well a revelation of both the pragmatic potential of the presidency and what can be accomplished when the chief executive has the vision and the determination to move beyond the pragmatic and initiate programs designed to transform a nation. Which is just astonishing insofar as no sentient being can deny LBJ's programs have done more to destroy this country than even Obama could dream to accomplish. LBJ did it in 3 years. All that stuff, Medicare, Medicaid, and he capitalized, not the right word, was aided by the death of John Kennedy, because everybody wanted to honor the dead president. So here came Kennedy's tax cuts, but they passed a lot of Kennedy stuff in sympathy. And then Johnson, while that was going on, started larding things on it. And the Civil Rights Act, Johnson had voted against every civil rights bill that had come before him before he became president. Then he becomes president and authors his own. And there are other biographers who will tell you that Johnson told them, I'm going to make sure that my party has the African-American, the black vote, wasn't African-American, the black vote from now to eternity. And that's what it was for. In the midst of here, demonstrable destruction and failure, we're getting a book about how this is one of the greatest presidents ever. Marshaling his power, overcoming the hatred of Robert Kennedy. The book details how Robert Kennedy hated LBJ, did not want him on the ticket. But JFK knew he wouldn't win Texas if he had LBJ on the ticket. So here are these Walmart moms. They're frustrated with the state of the country. They're skeptical about Washington's ability to address the key issues. Yeah, anybody paying attention should be skeptical about Washington's ability to address the key issues that'll have a positive, tangible impact on their household. If you you don't work, Washington matters. If you do work, Washington's in your way when run by liberals. The reason that this is a key quote to me is because Washington cannot address key issues in a positive, tangible way, which has been our problem since, I would say, the New Deal, even before the Great Society and the War on Poverty. But that's what Johnson wanted to finish, the New Deal. He wanted to build on it and cement it. Washington can only do a couple things: tax, spend, and regulate. And none of that helps anybody in a tangible way for long term. They don't create wealth other than for themselves, but they don't do anything other than take it, redistribute it, some cases destroy it. But they don't create wealth for anybody. Look at what Washington proposes to do when it aims to fix the economy. It proposes to provide tax relief and freedom from government bureaucracy. That's when they're honest about it. What do? They tell you they're going to get out of the way. They're going to lower taxes or do something. I sit here and I get frustrated because turning liberalism into the genuine electoral minority that it is in terms of just numbers. I mean, the percentage of people in this country who admit to identifying as liberals is 20%. 40% self-identify as conservatives. If these Walmart moms just understood the ideological makeup of big government types, it just, as I say, it just astounds me that in the midst of demonstrable, provable failure of liberal policy after liberal policy, they still run the same kind of campaigns. They still use the same rhetoric. They still do class warfare. They still have the same enemies list. It's always successful major corporations. It's always successful rich people other than Democrats. They always tell the middle class that they'd be rich if it weren't for Republicans and businesses stealing money from them or charging them too much for gasoline, or in some cases killing them. It ought not be anywhere near as viable as it is. Now, you and I know why it is. The appeal, all this compassion, and as much as anything is the demonization that have succeeded in labeling Republicans as various types of demons, racist, sexist, bigot, homo, all those kind of things. But it's an ongoing frustrating thing to me, has been. You have the 1980s, and there are still plenty of people who vote, who were alive then, who loved America. Their patriotism was at an all-time high. The military was being rebuilt after this disastrous Carter. We got the second term of Jimmy Carter now. And this is why I said last week I think that this election could surprise a lot of people. Dick Morris, by the way, is predicting 55-45 landslide for Romney. Bob Beckel at the 5 thinks Rush is dreaming because there's this thing called the Electoral College, and that means the popular vote doesn't matter. And Beckel said, remember when Bush stole the election from Gore in 2000? Gore actually won the popular vote by 200 and some odd votes, whatever it was. And Beckel's right about this. He's right, the Electoral College does factor in. But if it's a 55-45 popular vote, the Electoral College will fall into play. It'll fall into place.